What's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these super simple wooden American flag Christmas trees. Let's get started. Alright, so first up I'm going to go ahead and get my wood cut. So I just got a stick of 1x2 here. Obviously you can use your scrap wood for this also. And then my measurements are going to be 2 inches, 3.5, 5 inches, 6.5, 8 inches, 9.5, and 11. And those will be the long measurements. So they'll be kind of like this top one. The long measurements are 2, then we go 3.5, and then 5, and then I'll be cutting those at a 35 degree. So it'll be long end to long end, cut at a 35 degree, both facing in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those ones cut. All right, so I got all of my pieces cut, and the next thing that I'm gonna do, this is optional, but I'm gonna take my angle grinder here, and then I got a flap disc on it, and I'm just going to rough up the edges a little bit, just on the very ends, and then that might give it more of a, kind of like a distressed look, and then I'll just add a little bit more detail to it. But like I said, this is not necessary. And then after I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and take my orbital sander, and I'm just going to do a quick sand over the faces just to clean them up a little bit. One thing I forgot to mention is I also cut 2 3-inch blocks, and those will be for the base down here. And then I'm gonna do a second one that'll be a little bit of a different style. And I got this all out of a single 8-foot piece of 1x2. So if you get an 8-foot piece, you should be able to do 2 of these. But I'm gonna go ahead, get the edges of these grinded down, and go ahead and sand them. Alright, so I got these all sanded, and I got my little distressed edge on there. So that is kind of what I was talking about. Just adds a little bit more detail, but it's definitely not necessary. So the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and torch these. So I'll just be using my Burnsmatic propane torch, and usually I just do a little bit of a darker torch around the edges, and then do a lighter torch in the middle. For my second one, I'm only going to be torching it. I won't be doing any stain. So I'll be doing the top 3 a lot darker. Then I'll do, after the top 3, I'll go light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. So I'll do this one a little bit different just to give another option of what you could do. But I'm going to go ahead and get these things torched. This one I will be staining. Alright, so I got these all torched, and the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and get this one stained. So for the red, I got some of this Minwax water-based wood stain. This is tinted in crimson. For the blue, I got some more of this Minwax water-based wood stain tinted in denim blue. And then for the white, I got some Varthane water-based wood stain tinted in white. And usually I'll do about 2 coats of this, depending on how the color's coming through, but obviously you can do as many coats as you would like to. And I'll just be using a rag to stain. Alright, so I'm all done staining, and the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and get them glued and nailed together. So the way I'm going to do this is just glue between each one, and then I have some 1 3/4 nails. I'll be using an 18 gauge brad nailer. So I'll glue between them, go ahead and clamp it, then I'll put a couple through the top. They won't go in super deep, but they'll kind of hold it, and then I'll just do one through each of the sides down at an angle, and then those ones will be able to bite a lot further than the ones coming through the top. And with the glue in there, we don't need the nails to hold them super good, because they just need to hold it long enough for the glue to set up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one put together first while my stain dries on that one. And then for these very bottom ones, we're just gonna wanna glue those ones, and then we'll just have to put them through the top. You'll probably have to start with this one, nail it up into it, and then do the bottom one and nail it up into it. You could do a backer piece on these, but obviously then it's gonna stick off of the wall further. And then also you have the problem of this top one being so small that your backer piece, you'd either have to cut it at the top so that it will kind of hide behind it, or rip it thin. And then for these, we're just gonna wanna center it over so that you kind of have an even gap on either side. But we can go ahead and get these glued and nailed together. Alright, so I got these things glued and nailed together. You gotta be a little bit careful when you're nailing. Just try to make sure you're holding your nail gun as straight as possible at the wood, or if anything, angle it back a little bit. I didn't have any come through the face, but I did have a few that came through the back, which isn't a big deal, but you just don't want those to come through the face, otherwise that might be a little bit of a problem. If you are worried about nails coming through the face, you could always just glue everything and clamp it, except for the top one. And then the top one, you'll most likely have to use nails, just because you could glue it, but there's not really a good way to clamp the top unless you notched out a piece of wood that had a flat edge and then put that over the top and then clamped it. And then I actually ended up using 1¼ inch nails on a lot of the angled ones, especially on the top, because on this one I did have one that it came through the top and then it just came out the side over here. So it just like went in and then it went along the bottom of the wood and stuck out, so it didn't go in. And I already had my other nail in, so I had to pull it out and then pull those nails out. But luckily I was able to save this piece and reuse it. And then I don't know if you could tell, but as I was going along, I just had a block and I would just push it down before nailing it. These things aren't perfectly flat. They got like a little bit of a rock to them, but that is something that if you wanted to avoid it, you'd have to rip each of these 1-bys down so that they are perfectly square. But I don't think it's enough to be noticeable. Obviously you can get as carried away as you want with it. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and do the stars. So I just have these 1-inch star cutouts. I can link these in the description. And what I'm gonna do is take my micro nailer and I'll just put a little bit of clear glue behind the star on the back of it. And then I'll just go ahead and put 1 micro nail through the face. And I'll be doing 1 at the peak, then I'll do 2 on the next row down, and then I will do 3 on the 3rd row down. So it'll look something like that. Obviously you can paint your stars or have a different pattern, but I just think this would look clean and simple. And then I'll do this on both of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these things put on real quick. Alright, so the next thing that we're gonna do is go ahead and seal these things up, and I'll just be using some of this gloss clear sealer. Alright, so I gave these some time to dry, and the last thing that we got to do is go ahead and put the hangers on the back. And I'll just be using these large sawtooth hangers, and I'll just center them on the 3rd board down. And if you wanted to do if you wanted to have it standing, you could always cut down a board, put some angles on it, and then you could put it on the back and then nail it in like that, and then you could have it so that you could like stand it up on a table. I'm just gonna do the hangers on mine, but that is also another option that you could do. Alright, so that is what they look like all finished up. Let me know in the comments how you think they turned out. And also let me know if there's any tips or advice on how to make these things better. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'd also love to hear any other video suggestions. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. And thank you everybody so much for watching.